All right, welcome to our fourth lecture, and today it is converting day. Should tell you it's not going to be like all math all semester, thank goodness. But in the first couple weeks, yeah, we do a lot of calculations. So today again, we're going to work on converting. So it'll be converting with different kinds of problems, maybe slightly more challenging problems than we saw in our third lecture. So this one, again, I'm going to break it up into three parts. The first part will be converting with squared or cubic units. Then we're going to talk about converting with what I'm going to call mixed units. What does that mean? You're going to hear in the part B of this. And then we'll talk about converting with the metric system, centimeters to meters, milliliters to liters, that kind of stuff. So with that, let's go ahead and move on, and let's get into converting with squared or cubic units. So squared or cubic units, first thing I want to mention is when would you run across these units? So squared units are going to be used with area. If I ask you the area of some floor or the area of a table or something, you would use squared units, square feet, square inches, square meters, something like that. And then cubic units are what we use with volume. What's the volume of a swimming pool? What's the volume of a, I don't know, what I do last time, a cereal box or something. So cubic units, cubic inches, cubic, what else could it be? Cubic feet, cubic yards, cubic centimeters, stuff like that. All right, so both of these will come up depending on what we're trying to deal with, area and volume. All right, so I want to show you a couple examples. So for the first one, let's do one with squared units. Let's do, like, I guess, a problem with area. So let's say I tell you the area of, I don't know, some countertop in my kitchen or some table, and I tell you the area is 55 squared inches. And I want to know, what is that area, not in square inches, but in square centimeters. Now I should tell you, if you look at this conversion chart, and again, I'm going to use the same one I was using in the third lecture, so if you grab it out and have it handy, that wouldn't hurt. I'm trying to show you it on the screen, but it might be a little small, I know. So if you look at that handout, you're not going to see any squared units anywhere on it. There isn't any conversion factors that involve square inches and square centimeters. So what we can do, though, is to take this handout, and we can take these conversion factors and take the regular conversion factor and make it the squared version of the conversion factor. So none of this handout involves square inches and square centimeters, I should say. But there is a conversion factor that goes from regular inches to regular centimeters. Regular old boring inches to regular old boring centimeters. So if I want to do a problem, though, with squared inches and squared centimeters, I can't just use that conversion factor. I cannot use 1 inch as 2.54 centimeters. I need to take it and I need to make it the squared version of that conversion factor. So the way we're going to do these problems, I mean, we're going to start off the same way we always did, right? What was the first thing we did in the last class? We wrote down our beginning and ending unit. So we're going to do that again. 55 inches squared. Oh, that's a little messy. That's 55. I got to get this adjusted a little bit better. I'm going to just erase it. I'm not happy with that. All right, so 55 squared inches. There we go. And then I am trying to get to squared centimeters. So I found a conversion factor that seems kind of close, right? 1 regular old boring inch is 2.54 regular old boring centimeters. I cannot use that conversion factor, though. I need to make it the squared version. So the way we make it the squared version, you just take it and you square everything. All right. When you square it, you're going to square the numbers, and you'll also square the units. So some of this I can do in my head. 1 squared is 1. Inch squared is inch squared, square inches. You could say it either way. Now, when I get to 2.54, I need to square that number too. Now, It's a little hard to show you on the screen, my calculator, but let me point out to you, if you have the same calculator that I have, there is a button for squaring numbers. It's this x squared. Do you see it right there? X squared. That's the one you're going to want to use, that one that says x squared. Now, if you don't have that or you can't find it on your calculator, let me know and I can help you out during Zoom office hours or whatever, or Zoom class. So there should be a button, a way to square it. All right, so I'm going to do 2.54 squared. Now, on my calculator again, I would type in the number 2.54, and then I would hit x squared, and if I do it, x squared, 2.54 squared is 6. Well, let me look at my calculator, 4516. So use that square button, 2.54 squared, you see what the answer is there. Now, we also squared the unit, don't we? So it would turn out to be centimeter squared right there. All right, now we have a conversion factor that actually can help us out. We have one that goes not from regular inches, but from square inches to square centimeters. And that's what we're trying to do in this problem. So let me go ahead and do it. Let me go ahead and use it. So that was kind of the hard part, the new part. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go ahead and plug in those numbers. So, oh, this you should be able to do because this is back to what we've been doing. Inch squared right there. Where do we put it to cancel out? On the bottom. And that means that, look at your conversion factor, 1 goes on the bottom, and then we'll have to put the other side on top, 6.4516 square centimeters. So that should work. Now, this is a little off track here, and let's move this over here. All right, let me just adjust to make it a little prettier. All right, so then if I work it out, yeah, the units still cancel, so we're still converting, right? The units still cancel. And what you should get, if you do 55 times 6.4516, you're going to get, let me tell you, let me do it again on my calculator, because I didn't write down the whole answer. Your calculator is going to spit out this thing at you, 354.838. Now, that's too many sig figs. How many sig figs should be in our answer? 2. So if I want to round that to 2, it would be, I guess I'd round it to 350. All right, it should look like that. All right, so I'm going to show you one more of these. To do that, I'm going to flip over to another piece of paper. So same idea, write down the beginning number and unit, write down the unit you're going to, come up with the conversion factor. The tricky thing in this video is you're going to have to take a conversion factor and you're going to have to adjust it to make it the squared version or maybe the cubic version. So with that, otherwise, get those units to cancel out, get your answer, and round it. All right, let's try one more. All right, so let's try one more. Now this one we're going to do with volume. So volume again would be in cubic units. So let's say you went into the store and, you know, I like to garden once in a while, and you buy like soil or compost or something like that. They're going to sell it to you in cubic something, cubic yards, cubic feet, something like that. Now, let's say they sold it to you in cubic meters. So let's say you went and bought 65 cubic meters of dirt or whatever. And I wanted to know how many cubic feet is that? All right, so cubic units, that goes with volume. So to go from cubic meters to cubic feet, we're going to do the same old thing we've been doing. Write down the beginning number and unit. I'm going to put it down here, actually. We'll put a conversion factor in here in a minute, or might need more than one. Well, I guess we'll have to figure it out, huh? And then we're going to write down the unit we're going to, cubic feet. All right, so right, beginning number unit, my final unit, and now we got to figure out if there's a way we can get from one to the other. We got to find the conversion factor. So the conversion factor, it's on the handout, and there is one that goes not from cubic meters to cubic feet, but there is one that goes from regular old boring feet to regular old boring meters. So that's going to help us out. Now we can't use it because we have to make it the cubic version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 1 cubic foot here equals 0.348 meters. And now I have to cube that number. I have to cube it to get the cubic version, not the regular version. Don't use 0.3048. It ain't going to give you the right answer. Got to cube the whole thing. All right. 1 cubed is 1. Feet cubed is, oops, feet cubed. Now, I also need to cube this number, the 0.3048. So how do you do that on your calculator? How do you cube a number? Now, again, on your calculator, it might be a little bit different. You might need to figure it out a little bit. But on my calculator, again, the way you cube a number is you use this y to the x button. You can raise any number to any power you want with this button. So for example, let's just try it. So to cube a number, there's probably a button on your calculator that says y to the x, or it might say a caret. It might look like a little up arrow. Either way, all right? So let's say, we'll get back to this one in a minute. Let's say I wanted to cube, or I wanted to raise, I don't know, let's do 4, and I want to cube it. The way I would enter it is I would do 4, and then I would hit the button, y to the x, and then if I want to do 4 cubed, after you enter that button, you say, oh, wise calculator, raise 4, and then you type in the power to the 3rd power. So you would do 4, y to the x, or it could be a caret, I don't know, depends on your calculator, and then 3 to the 3rd power. So we could make it the 5th power, the 10th power, the 100th power, doesn't matter. For right now, we're going to do the 3rd power. If you are doing this correctly, you should be getting 64. All right, if you got 64, you did it right. Check that. Make sure you're getting 64. 4 y to the x 3. That's 4 cubed. All right, so let's do the same thing with our number down here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take 0.3048 and I'm going to cube it. I'm going to raise it to the 3rd power. What do you get when you do that? What is this number raised to the 3rd power when you cube it? Okay, you should have gotten 0.02832. Hopefully you got that. All right, and then it would be meters cubed. So it would be meters cubed. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and plug it in now. Now we have the right conversion factor. So we're starting off with meters cubed. So what number goes on the bottom? If we're starting off with meters cubed, what number goes down here? Is it going to be 1? Or is it going to be 0.0283? What number goes on the bottom? 1 or this? Okay, it should be 0.0832. Oh, why? Because we need meters to cancel. That's why. Oh, yeah, meters is now going to cancel. We put the 1 cubic foot on top. And if you work it out, and we got to round again. So you would be dividing 65 divided by 0.0283, and then you times it by 1, and you divide by that number. And again, I think we need 2 sig figs in our answer. So double check that you're going to get this. I think the right answer should turn out to be rounded 2,300. Rounded to 2 sig figs. All right, so 2,300. All right, with that, that's one kind of problem I want to go over. It's converting with square to cubic units. So we'll practice this a little bit more in our Zoom session, or you can always email me or ask me during some office hours, or however you want to get a hold of me. I'm glad to help you out a little bit more. Let's move on to part B of this lecture.